Good day. I'm Sandy Zubiak, your sister and your friend. Welcome to my YouTube channel. First of all, I'd like to thank my subscribers. It means so much that you're willing to subscribe and go on this journey with me just to explore the goodness of our Father. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't, and share it with your family and friends. I'm always excited to talk to you about your Father and my Father. And our Father, of course, is God, and He's our very good daddy. I just began to wake up in 2020 as to see how good He really is and realize that we can ask God anything. He's not afraid of our questions. It's possible that I might be sharing something, some new thoughts with you today. If so, I hope you'll just listen with an open heart. It is actually our hearts, that's the place where we create new mindsets. In previous videos, I had shared that we're all God's children. We're all brothers and sisters. Our Father has always loved us, and He's never been angry with us. And our Father declared us to be holy, innocent, and righteous in our pre-created life. And Jesus said that we're the light of the world. So those are some videos you can go back and listen to if you'd like to. Today we're going to be exploring the question, did the Father abandon Jesus on the cross? And I kind of had to ponder, why did this bother me so much? And I guess I was thinking that if God abandoned Jesus on the cross for doing something that was the right thing to do, how could I be confident that He wouldn't abandon me when I was doing something wrong? And actually, Jesus was doing the very thing that the Father had sent Him to earth to do. But I had been told that Jesus had to go and do that alone, but that just didn't sound right to me. So I wanted to look into that for myself. So today we're going to be reading from 2 Old Testament passages and 3 New Testament passages, and I'll give them to you now. The first is Habakkuk 1, chapter 1, verse 13. If you have trouble finding Habakkuk, it's the 5th book from the last book of the Old Testament. So if you go backwards from Malachi through Zechariah, past Haggai and Zephaniah, then you'll find Habakkuk. And the next one is Psalm 22:24, and then the New Testament passages are Mark 15:37, John 16:32, and John 17:20 and 21. Since I'm still traveling, I'm going to be reading from my online versions today. So where did the idea that our Father abandoned Jesus on the cross, where did that actually come from? And through my research, I found that there are very likely 2 places that theologians would have reached this conclusion. The first one is that God is too holy to look at or be in the presence of sin. That's actually illogical based on the fact that Jesus is God. He walked on the earth among men who sinned. In fact, He was always being criticized for spending too much time with sinners. The idea that God is too holy to look at sin comes from a text in Habakkuk 1, verse 13. So I'll read that to you now. It goes, "Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrongdoing." Now, the prophet Habakkuk and God were having a conversation about the fact that the people of Judah were sinning. Habakkuk was complaining that justice wasn't being served. The wicked people in Judah seemed to be prospering while the righteous were suffering. And he wanted God to do something about that. So God answered Habakkuk, but not in the way that Habakkuk was expecting. God was going to use the nation of the Chaldeans to punish Judah. Now Habakkuk did not like God's plan because the Chaldeans were even more wicked than Judah. So he complained to God. He told him, well, you're just too holy to look upon evil, and you can't overlook sin. But we have to realize this was Habakkuk's conclusion. This is not what God told Habakkuk. It was just the opposite. And God wasn't planning to overlook the sin. He was just dealing with it differently than Habakkuk wanted him to. But actually, contrary to Habakkuk's conclusion about God being holy doesn't make Him melt down when He's with people who sin. Because God is omnipresent, He's present with people when they sin. It's impossible for the one who created us to be separated from us. We wouldn't even be alive if we weren't connected to him. So based on his omnipresence alone, we would have to say that the Father was one with Jesus while he was being crucified. There's another reason, a second reason, that scholars conclude that the Father was separated from Jesus on the cross. And this comes from something that Jesus said while he was being crucified. We're going to read this together from Mark 15, verse 37. It says, "At 3 p.m, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, 'Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani,' which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When we examine Jesus' words, he's not speaking directly to his Father. He's quoting Psalm 22, which is a psalm of David. We know that he's not talking to his Father because Jesus never addressed him using the title God. When Jesus spoke to God or spoke about God in the Gospels, he always addressed him as his Father. As a matter of fact, Jesus used the phrase "my Father" or "our Father" over 150 times in the 4 Gospels. He wouldn't have changed his heart connection and total dependence on his Father when he needed his daddy the very most. So if Jesus wasn't talking to his Father, why did he quote Psalm 22? Well, it's a psalm of lament when we're in trouble and we're afraid that our Father has left us. Jesus only quoted the first line of the first verse, but the Jews who were there watching him being crucified would have known the entire psalm. They saw that everything happening to Jesus fulfilled all the prophecies in this psalm. I won't go through all the prophecies, but some of them are these. It says that his bones were out of joint, and that happened while Jesus was lifting his body trying to breathe. It also prophesies that his hands and feet were pierced, and as they were when he was nailed to the cross. It also said that the soldiers, that those would cast lots for his garment, and the soldiers did in fact cast lots for his garment at the foot of the cross. So onlookers would also have known the ending of this famous psalm, and that is that our Father always hears us and comes to our rescue. So let's read this assurance together. We find it in Psalm 22, verse 24. It reads this way, "For he has not despised or scorned the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face from him, but has listened to his cry for help." Our Father never hides his face from us, but he always helps us. Our Father heard Jesus' cries because the Father was one with him. Jesus was not separated from his Father. And there's just one last point I'd like to make here, because Jesus actually answered this question on the same night that he was arrested to be crucified. So Jesus and his disciples had just shared the Last Supper in the upper room. Judas, who was going to betray him, had left early to arrange for Jesus to be arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus taught his disciples as they walked towards the Garden of Gethsemane. And on their walk, Jesus told them that they would grieve because he has to leave them for a little while, but then they will see him again. Let's read this together. It's found in John 16, verse 32. This is what he said to them. "A time is coming, and in fact has come, when you will be scattered, each to your own home. You will leave me all alone. Yet I am not alone, for my Father is with me." Jesus, who is God, told his disciples that he was about to face something in a few minutes that would cause them to scatter and leave him alone. But he goes on to say, "Yet I am not alone, for my Father is with me." Jesus, the one who knows everything, is confident that his Father will be with him when everyone else leaves him. Still on this walk to the garden, Jesus prays what we call the high priestly prayer for the disciples and for all other believers who will hear through the gospel message that they will spread. He prays that all believers may be one, just as The Father is in Jesus, and Jesus is in the Father, that believers may also be one in them. I'm going to read this also to you. It's John 17, verses 20 and 21. It says, "My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. May they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me." Jesus never doubted for a moment that he and his Father were one. Each was completely and fully in the other. There was no separation between them. If you knew Jesus, you knew the Father. If you saw Jesus, you saw the Father. The fullness of the Father was pleased to dwell in Jesus, and there was nothing that could separate them. Jesus suffered on the cross as both God and man, and his Father went through everything with him. Our Father did not abandon Jesus on the cross. So with us now knowing our oneness with Jesus, because our high priest prayed that for us, now we know that we can trust our Father to never abandon us either. Jesus said his words will never pass away. He will carry out every promise he made to us. He said to us that he will never leave us or forsake us. So that is a guarantee. We can all rest easy tonight knowing that he is as close to us as our next breath. So we're going to stop here today. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Let me know if there are other subjects you'd like to discuss, and subscribe if you'd like to be notified of new videos. Don't forget to hit the like button and share the video. I'll put the verses down below because I always encourage you to check out things for yourself. May God bless you this week. I just love being in God's family with you. Thank you, child of God. Bye-bye.